Welcome to this presentation on the conduct of information technology and cybersecurity audit. This session focuses on the NABARD guidelines applicable to state cooperative banks and district central cooperative banks, or DCCBs. We will look at the management responsibilities, the audit process, compliance requirements, and most importantly, how managers should follow up on audit findings. The reference for this presentation is the NABARD Circular dated 17 December 2024. The key areas covered are IT infrastructure, websites, applications, and APIs. Cybersecurity audit is required at least annually, and also when significant changes or updates take place. Why is cybersecurity audit so important for cooperative banks? The banking sector is facing an increasing number of cyber incidents and attacks. Vulnerabilities can exist in software, applications, websites, and the configuration of IT infrastructure. At the same time, emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things are creating new and increasingly complex threat vectors. For bank managers, the important message is that cybersecurity is not merely an IT issue. It is a business risk and a management responsibility. The board and senior management therefore need to treat cybersecurity audit as a governance priority, not simply as a technical or compliance exercise.
The NABARD Circular is addressed to NABARD-supervised entities. These include state cooperative banks, district central cooperative banks, and regional rural banks. However, our focus in this program is specifically on state cooperative banks and DCCBs. State cooperative banks operate at the apex level of the cooperative banking structure, while DCCBs operate at the district level and form an important middle tier of the cooperative credit system. For managers of state cooperative banks and DCCBs, understanding the requirements of this circular is therefore particularly important.
Now, let us look at the scope of the cybersecurity audit. NABARD identifies 4 important areas that need regular audit coverage. The first is IT infrastructure. This includes servers, network infrastructure, security infrastructure, and IT configurations. The second is websites, including public-facing websites and the supporting web infrastructure. The third is applications. This includes banking applications and other critical applications used by the bank. The fourth is APIs, or application programming interfaces, which connect applications with external systems. The key message for management is simple. The audit should provide comprehensive coverage of IT infrastructure, websites, applications, and APIs. There are 2 important triggers for conducting the cybersecurity audit. The first is the regular audit cycle. The cybersecurity audit should be conducted at least annually. The second is an event-based trigger. An audit should also be conducted when there are changes or updates to IT infrastructure, websites, or applications. Therefore, managers should not look at cybersecurity audit as an activity that happens only once a year. If the bank implements a significant technology change or updates a critical application, the need for an audit should be considered at that point as well. The management takeaway is annual audit plus event-triggered reviews. An important requirement relates to the agency conducting the cybersecurity audit. The audit should be conducted through a Cert-In impaneled Information Systems Auditing Organization. Therefore, the bank should verify the impanelment status of the selected agency. The audit should follow comprehensive security audit frameworks and the applicable MATI and Cert-In guidelines, including guidelines that are released or updated from time to time. For management, this means that the selection of the audit agency is an important governance activity. The bank should ensure that the agency is appropriately impaneled and that the audit scope, methodology, and applicable standards are clearly defined. Cybersecurity audit also has an important board-level dimension. NABARD advises that the system for regular cybersecurity audit should be put in place in consultation with the Board of Directors. The board's role should include oversight of the overall audit program and its scope. The board should understand the significant cyber risks facing the institution and their potential impact. It should also review major audit observations and monitor corrective actions, particularly those requiring timely closure. Finally, the board should periodically review the bank's overall cybersecurity posture and resilience. The important message is that cybersecurity governance must have visible ownership at the board and senior management level. What should a bank manager actually expect from a cybersecurity audit? The audit should give management visibility across 4 broad dimensions. The first is people, whether employees have adequate training, security awareness, and incident preparedness. The second is process, whether policies, procedures, internal controls, and incident response plans are current, tested, and effective. The third is technology, covering infrastructure, applications, websites, APIs, and access controls, and whether identified vulnerabilities are being addressed. The fourth is third parties, including hosting providers and other service providers, and whether third-party risks are being properly controlled. This broader perspective helps managers understand that cybersecurity depends on people, processes, technology, and external partners working together. Many banks use third-party organizations to host websites or applications. In such situations, it is important to clearly understand the division of responsibilities. The hosting provider is responsible for security auditing of the web server, operating system, web hosting application software, and, where applicable, the back-end database application software. At the same time, the bank remains responsible for the website content, data, and software under its own control. The bank must also ensure that the relevant components are audited through a Cert-In impaneled organization and obtain compliance confirmation from the third-party hosting provider. For managers, one question is particularly important. What exactly is controlled by the bank, and what is controlled by the hosting provider? This division of responsibility should be clearly documented and regularly reviewed. Conducting the audit is only the beginning. The real value of a cybersecurity audit comes from what the bank does with the findings. The process should move from planning and audit to identification and classification of findings, followed by assignment of responsibility and remediation. After remediation, the bank should obtain appropriate evidence and verify that the issue has actually been resolved. Finally, the observation should be formally closed. Management should therefore avoid a situation where audit observations remain open simply because an action plan has been prepared. The objective is not merely to identify weaknesses. The objective is to ensure that significant weaknesses are effectively remediated and brought to verified closure. Management should maintain continuous oversight of the major areas arising from the cybersecurity audit. First, policies. Are they current and updated? Second, access control. Are user access rights appropriate and regularly reviewed? Third, third-party risk. Are vendors and service providers adequately controlled? Fourth, incident response. Can the bank respond quickly and effectively to a cyber incident? Fifth, training and awareness. Are employees adequately trained and sufficiently alert to cyber threats? Sixth, applications and IT infrastructure. Are vulnerabilities identified and addressed promptly? And finally, websites and APIs. Are vulnerabilities identified, and are these interfaces securely implemented and tested? The objective is to convert cybersecurity audit from an annual compliance activity into a continuous management process. For bank managers, the key principle is simple: identify the risk, assign responsibility, ensure remediation, verify closure, and continuously improve the bank's cybersecurity posture. The NABARD Circular requires state cooperative banks and district central cooperative banks to submit copies of their Cyber Security Audit reports along with the prescribed information. This submission has to be made every quarter by the last working day of each quarter, without exception. The prescribed submission channel is the email address shown on the slide. The purpose of this reporting is to enable NABARD to keep the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and the Government of India timely informed about the cybersecurity posture of state cooperative banks and DCCBs under its supervision. For bank management, timely reporting is therefore a regulatory obligation and not a discretionary activity.
Let us now look at the prescribed NABARD Quarterly reporting format. The information submitted must be complete and accurate. The first section identifies the supervised entity and the audit. This includes the full name of the State Cooperative Bank, or DCCB, the date of the cybersecurity audit, the third-party hosting service provider, and the name of the audit agency. The bank must also confirm the Cert-In impanelment status of the audit agency. The report should specify the type of audit, its scope of coverage, and the standards or methodology applied. The summary section should capture major recommendations, action taken and closure status, significant cybersecurity recommendations, and compliance with Cert-In and MATI guidelines. It should also confirm compliance with the RBI and NABARD Cybersecurity Framework guidelines. Management should ensure that every prescribed field is properly completed before submission.
A management dashboard provides a practical way to continuously monitor the bank's cybersecurity audit position. The dashboard should begin with the audit status, including the last audit date, the next audit due date, the Cert-In impaneled agency, and the scope covered. The next area is observations. Management should have visibility of critical, high risk, medium risk, and low risk findings. The remediation section should show the total number of observations, those that are closed, those that remain open, and any overdue items. The dashboard should also cover compliance with Cert-In and MATI requirements, RBI and NABARD requirements, and internal policies. Third-party arrangements, including hosting providers and critical vendors, should also be monitored. Finally, management should monitor staff training, cyber awareness, and incident response preparedness. This dashboard should be reviewed at every board or senior management meeting to ensure continuous oversight of the bank's cybersecurity posture. Bank managers have a direct role in ensuring that cybersecurity audit requirements are effectively implemented. There are 8 important management responsibilities. First, understand. Know the bank's cybersecurity risk profile, including infrastructure, applications, and third-party dependencies. Second, ensure. Confirm that the annual cybersecurity audit is conducted on schedule by a Cert-In impaneled agency. Third, monitor. Actively track major audit observations and their remediation status. Fourth, escalate. Bring critical and high-risk issues to the board without delay. Fifth, follow up. Ensure that every audit observation is actively pursued until closure. Sixth, review. Examine third-party and hosting provider compliance. Seventh, strengthen. Invest in staff training and cyber awareness programs. And eighth, report. Ensure that the required information is submitted to NABARD every quarter without fail. These responsibilities make cybersecurity a continuous management activity. This slide provides a practical self-assessment checklist for bank managers. Start with audit readiness. First, when was our last IT or cybersecurity audit? Second, when is the next audit due? Third, is the audit agency Cert-In impaneled? Fourth, were IT infrastructure, websites, applications, and APIs covered? And fifth, what are our critical and high-risk observations? Now consider remediation and compliance. How many observations remain open? Who is responsible for closing each observation? Are our third-party and hosting arrangements adequately covered? Are we compliant with MATI, Cert-In, RBI and NABARD requirements? And finally, has the required report been submitted to NABARD on time? These 10 questions can be used as a simple management checklist during internal reviews and board-level discussions.
Let us summarize the key principles from the December 2024 NABARD Circular. There are 7 principles that every state cooperative bank and DCCB should embed into its governance and operational practices. First, annual. The cybersecurity audit must be conducted at least annually. Second, event-based. An audit must also be triggered when significant IT, web, or application changes occur. Third, Cert-in. The audit must be conducted by a Cert-in impaneled agency. Fourth, comprehensive. The scope must cover infrastructure, websites, applications, and APIs. Fifth, management oversight. The board must have appropriate involvement in cybersecurity governance. Sixth, remediation. Audit recommendations must be tracked and followed through to closure. And seventh, reporting. The required information must be submitted to NABARD on a quarterly basis. These 7 principles provide a simple framework for management to remember and implement the requirements.
As we conclude, there is one principle that bank managers should remember. Cybersecurity is a management responsibility. The audit is not the destination. The process begins with engaging a Cert-in impaneled agency and conducting the audit annually and after significant changes. The audit helps identify risks across infrastructure, applications, and third parties. Management must then prioritize the findings according to their severity and assign appropriate responsibility. The next step is remediation and verification, ensuring that corrective actions are completed and that controls are actually operating effectively. Finally, the required information must be reported to NABARD within the prescribed quarterly timeline. But the process should not end there. The findings should be used to improve staff training, cyber awareness, controls, and the bank's overall security posture. In other words, audit, identify, prioritize, remediate, verify, report, improve, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a continuous journey of vigilance, effective controls, and timely management action. Thank you for watching.